Hi, everybody. This is Jennifer Mars from Home Textiles. Today, we are just going to let people come into the room, so to speak. While we're doing that, just a real quick reminder that the panel welcomes your questions. We'd love to hear from you, and you can do that by looking at the bottom of your screen. You've got a chat function, which we prefer you use, but you can also use the Q&A function. If you hit that one instead, A-OK, we'll be ready to roll with you. And I think we're at a place where we can get started. So hi.
Hi.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. We're here to talk about the business of sleep. And before I give you the formal introduction of our panelists, I just want to set the table with some interesting data. And Dawn, if you could pop that slide up. Thank you. 2 years ago, when Casper was preparing for its IPO, it put together a prospectus that defined the global sleep universe as a $400 billion plus economy. And what I found so fascinating about that was the scope of the universe as it was defined. It included things we would all expect, right? Mattresses, bedding, pillows, furniture, but it also includes airplane sleep accessories like eye shades and slippers and sleep pods, CPAP devices for people with sleep apnea, products that foster better sleep for our pets, sleep supplements, medical diagnostic services, sleep technologies like tracking devices and monitors, and they even include clocks in that, and sleep services, including books and meditation and counseling. I think this is a much larger competitive landscape than we in the home textiles world normally take into consideration. And since COVID, if anything, the competition around better sleep has grown more intense. And Dawn, if you wouldn't mind taking that down, thank you very much. So with that, we're going to look at the lay of the land in the current era, and we have a great group of panelists today. John Lopos is CEO of the National Sleep Foundation, which is the leading source for evidence-based, medically reviewed sleep health information and in-depth product testing. Jimmy MacDonald is founder of Authenticity 50, a digitally native direct-to-consumer brand that specializes in 100% made in America bedding. Scott Carr is marketing director for Malouf, bedding solutions manufacturer focused on innovation and corporate social responsibility. And Jason Thomas is brand development manager for Supima, America's premium cotton fiber. Welcome, everybody.
Thanks, Jen.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for being here. So sleep, very quickly, John, I'm going to ask you just trying to describe the mission of the National Sleep Foundation, how the organization engages with consumers, for those who aren't familiar with it.
Sure. Well, before I do that, let me just reflect on that graphic that you just showed, because I thought what's really telling about that graphic, considering all of the sources, and when you put sleep in the context of, I think it was nutrition and or fitness and nutrition, you know, it reinforces just how fundamental sleep is in our lives. And that is core to certainly a goal, but it's core to the work that we have been doing at the National Sleep Foundation. You know, we're looking to advance sleep health and really the relationship between sleep and our overall health and well-being. And we do that through education, we do it through advocacy, we do research, we do policy work, and we look to advance the field across several domains. Our goal is really for people to fully internalize. We have several goals, but one of them is to fully internalize sleep into our lifestyle. And you can see when we look at like the previous slide that we were looking at, just how many ways it touches what people do every day. And so what we focus on at the National Sleep Foundation is the development of authoritative content on the very front end of this continuum. And then it's our job to really translate that content and expertise down the line through policy work and communications with the public, so we can help change behavior. We can help people sleep better. And so that's really our role. It's not always linear, but it starts with the authoritative content, and we work in partnership with lots of different types of organizations, industry, educational organizations, all with the focus of improving towards our public health mission, the way that people sleep.
Okay. Scott, Malouf has been marketing around the concept of restorative sleep. Can you talk about the messaging you're sending out with that?
Yeah, definitely. So I think a lot of what John just hit on with our current situation in the pandemic, how important sleep is, and restorative sleep is just that. So we're all, succumb to stresses of daily life, especially during such a crazy time like now. And so one of the things that we really focus on at Malouf is ensuring that we are putting forward the most innovative sleep products that are proven to help people get better rest and better sleep. So that really works in with technologies of fibers and materials that are used, like Supima sheets, for example, or also technology being worked into it. We saw that in the Casper report that you showed earlier, with adjustable bed bases and tech and app technology for a smart home experience that allows consumers to have greater access to their own health and well-being through the products that we sell. So, one of our brand calls that we've really been rallying around is sleep with a purpose, and being able to help consumers understand that sleep is it's very important. One of the big three, as that Casper graph showed, but also that they have a choice when choosing which products or which brands to purchase from or to support. And one of the things we try and do at Malouf is help people realize that when they purchase from Malouf, they're making a difference in the world from a corporate social responsibility and sustainability angle as well.
Okay. And Jimmy, since we're kind of on messaging at the moment, your Authenticity 50 is built around a concept that's called seed to stitch. So would you like to explain that to everybody?
Sure. So we launched in 2015 via Kickstarter as a small bootstrap business with the goal of making the best sheets and best home products that we can, and doing it 100% made in the USA, from the seed in the ground. So for many of our products at Supima, all the way to the final stitch. And in fact, even the sewing thread that we use to make our sheets is also made in America, supporting local communities, literally from California to Pennsylvania and everything in between. And the goal being to really build the world's best products, right? But then also deliver on values that matter to people, of supporting local communities. Making stuff here makes a huge difference and a huge impact on the economy and on people's lives. These are artisans that are sewing our sheets. These are engineers and people who haven't graduated from high school who are working on the weaving facilities and developing great careers. You see PhDs and you see people that never graduated college working together in American textile manufacturers here in the US, and really supporting these communities that are built around these large textile mills. And everybody told us it wasn't possible. They're like, you're not going to be able to go buy a finished product. You're going to have to manage the supply chain. But it's exciting. We spend a lot of time on the road, similar to Jason at Supima, visiting manufacturers, visiting cotton farms, really getting into the nitty gritty of that seed to stitch, made in USA ethos that we have.
Okay. Jason, thinking about the seed to stitch thing reminds me of the consumer facing campaign that Supima created last year called Supima plus Mother Nature. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we put forward an ad campaign annually, and we've evolved it in different ways. Previous to this year's, we were doing collaborations with brands and showing the products that feature Supima, both in home and apparel. And they were really successful campaigns, but we're always looking forward and seeing where we can evolve the messaging. And Supima plus Mother Nature is really a reaction to all the, for lack of a better term, white noise that's in the industry this, around responsibility and sustainability and all these sort of things that have been put towards cotton as a solution, not just Supima cotton, but cotton in general. There's a lot of claims being made. There's a lot of frameworks, sustainability frameworks being put out. And it's a reaction to that, because in a lot of ways, what's happening is cotton's being approached by outside entities in a way of saying, we already know there's a problem here. There's assumptions being made and we have to fix something. Whereas we're taking the approach of saying, you could analyze what is already here. You could look at what is already being done, and then you could see where there might be some improvements or there might be some real advantages to using Supima or American grown cotton. And really what the message means is that we've been collaborating with Mother Nature since our inception. And when you collaborate with Mother Nature, then it doesn't really need any sort of fancy term. It doesn't need regenerative or sustainable or any of these sort of things around it. Our farmers have been collaborating with Mother Nature since they put the seed in the ground. And they're always going to find the most responsible and best ways, the most efficient ways to keep farming land and to keep providing the fiber. So on behalf of our farmers, we just thought that that was the best message to put forward at this time. We've always been wanting to educate in the marketplace, and we think that this is a good message for us to stand behind at this moment.
Well, it's interesting because, all the consumer research we're seeing is telling us, right, that consumers are reorienting themselves towards products they consider more natural, which they also consider naturally safer. And I'm going to kind of ask you all to sort of see what changes you've seen. Obviously, a lot has changed and been happening over this last year with COVID. And John, I'm going to start with you because you are addressing consumers directly. I mean, how have you seen your engagements change? Have you seen people start looking for different types of information since COVID came along? What's your view of how
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I'm going to, just before I even try to answer, I'm just going to give everyone a heads up. We're in New Jersey here and someone's decided to cut down a tree. So you might hear a little bit of a chainsaw. So I'll try to answer quickly. Some of what the consumers are asking for and interested in about sleep is evergreen. And so we might see some variations on a theme during the time of the pandemic, but for all intents and purposes, they still want to know how much sleep they need. People have spent a lot more time at home, and so they are spending some time looking again and revisiting their sleep environment, their bedroom, and all of the different things that contribute to the sleep environment within the bedroom, whether it's on the top of the bed, whether it's the furniture, whether it's light, whether it's sound. And so people are looking at products during this time, but they've been looking at products. I think there have been a few areas that have been heightened during the pandemic, but for the most part, the interests of the public have stayed fairly evergreen. How much sleep do I need? What's my wind down supposed to be like? We've put out some information and tips during the pandemic to help people, remind people of some good practices that some good behaviors that they should be practicing. Well, common bed times, common wake times, getting sunlight, device use, and your wind down. Those are pretty evergreen, though.
Okay. And Jimmy, you are direct to consumer brand in an era that has been great for e-commerce. How have you seen your business evolve over the last 12 months?
Yeah, so it has been very busy for us. One of the things I've had to wrap my head around is placing larger orders so that we can keep product on the shelves. We frankly keep selling out of products, and that's without advertising more. In fact, in some ways, we're actually advertising less because when you don't have product on your shelves, there's no point in advertising. And as soon as we get product in, it's been selling out extremely quickly. And the reason behind that is really because people are just more thoughtful about their purchases nowadays, and they want to, given given the fact that prices are relatively similar across many brands, they want to go with a brand that has values that align with theirs. Um, and we've been very fortunate to be in the spotlight as COVID has caused people to rethink supply chains, right? You know, there was a lack of PPE for healthcare professionals because it was all made overseas. And guess what? Those countries weren't going to ship any of that back to the US, right? Even in factories made that are owned by American corporations overseas. So, you know, we did our part when it came to COVID, and we donated enough fabric to make 100,000 masks. And then we raised money from our customer base to actually cut and sew over 20,000 masks here in the USA. And that just goes to show, you know, a little local domestic supply chain expertise can go a long way in terms of giving back to the community. But yeah, it's been extremely busy. It's in some ways very exciting because now our brand is really resonating in a way that maybe it didn't, you know, 2 or 3 years ago, because there's now a focus again on products are made, and you know, Patagonia would be the gold standard of like a values driven business. And so we really view ourselves as the Patagonia in the bedding world as best we can. That doesn't sound very humble, but that's our North Star, right? That's what we're going for, is how can we deliver that experience in the bedding world of being values driven with, of course, the best products.
Well, you mentioned the supply chain disruptions, and I was just curious because you already have some domestic your production, you know, secured. Were there companies that normally import that were trying to muscle you out because they had their supply chains interrupted? Did you experience something like that?
Absolutely. It happened last year. It's happening this year to a certain extent as well, with the China cotton situation going on. But luckily, you know, we've been fortunate because we've spent a lot of time on the road and have met face to face with our manufacturers and have good personal relationships with all our manufacturers. So, you know, they're behind us and they want us to grow because they know that we're a sticky customer because our brand is built around collaboration with Made in USA businesses. But yeah, it has been interesting. You know, with COVID, some of our factories were super busy on the PPE side, and some were actually shut down by the government because of what, you know, debates around whether they were essential or not. So it was like this juggling act of managing supply chain in a time of crisis, which you know, I learned a lot. I'll say that.
And just very quickly, because we had a question. So the brand is authenticity 50, and stitch to seed, seed to stitch is kind of the philosophy behind it. Somebody was asking whether the site is seed to stitch or authenticity 50. The site is authenticity 50. So Scott, you know, Malouf produces everything from, you know, bed frames and bed bases, sheets, duvet covers, weighted blankets, pillows, toppers, and you know, you're working very closely with retailers. Have you seen anything take off? Any particular categories take off more than others that you think is tied in a way to what's been happening? People looking for better sleep during COVID.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we've definitely noticed, you know, with the thousands of retailers that we work with, we don't do a lot of direct to consumer business, but we have great working relationships with several of our retailers across the country. And we're really seeing trends, consumers spending a lot more time at home, obviously. They're realizing that, oh, wow, my mattress isn't as comfortable as I thought it was, or wow, I haven't updated this pillow for 10 years. That's disgusting. And, you know, I need some more support. And so, you know, what John was talking about, the understanding and the ethos of the sleep customer has maybe been heightened a little bit, but it's still the same issues, right? I sleep hot. I need a solution. I've got body pain. I need an answer. And so what is the answer? And, you know, to Jimmy's point, there's consumer demographics are changing. And as younger consumers make purchasing decisions, and as the millennial generation, of which I am a part, has more buying power, we've seen a shift. And Jimmy brought up the brand Patagonia, which I agree. As far as like a flagship brand of making decisions for a socially conscious consumer, Patagonia is a great one. Jason talked about earlier, there's a lot of white noise in the industry as like, what's the right certification to have? What does sustainability mean? And Jen, I think you you wrote an article last year about the term green and what, green marketing is in the industry right now. And, that's what really pushed Malouf to seek certified benefit corporation status in 2019, is to allow us to have a third-party validating factor say, yes, you are meeting these requirements, and you're not just using it as a marketing, tactic to gain more customers. And so I think as consumers get smarter and understand that there's differences of a marketing claim versus what is actual reality, I think that's something we've definitely seen. But to answer your question directly, Jennifer, you were saying specific lines and categories. We've seen a huge shift to a lot of people have sleep aids. We saw that with the Casper stat earlier, as far as like pharmaceuticals, and John could talk to this more than I could, but the amount of people who are spending billions of dollars to help them sleep better through medication. And, there's a lot of people who are wanting an alternative resource to be able to find that relief. So whether that's a weighted blanket or CBD is something that we've launched that's been successful, a less intrusive way to get some relief for some of those sleep ailments that people are experiencing. So I would say that's an area that we've definitely seen growth in.
One follow-up question, because I know Malouf deals not only with, better, best, what we would call volume retailers, but you're also dealing with mattress stores, right? Furniture stores. Any difference in the trends between those channels?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, mass merchandising, bigger retail stores are definitely driven by value propositions. Some of the higher end product lines that we sell are primarily sold through more specialty and independent retailers, where the price points and the consumer shopping experience is a little bit different. There's an assisted sale with an educated, sleep expert to talk through that. And so, I would say the biggest difference that we see between mass merchandising channels and independent retail is adjustable bed base attachment to a mattress. So we'll stand by the claim that adjustable bed bases, and Sam Malouf, our CEO, would say this if he was here, it's the single most important purchase that someone could make towards the betterment of their sleep is an adjustable bed base. And that's something new that 10 years ago didn't exist outside of a specialty care center or a hospital. And now people are able to bring this into their homes. And on specialty retail side, we're seeing about 20 to 30% of consumers who go to those stores to buy a mattress purchasing an adjustable bed base with that mattress as well. So, and that's up 100% from last year. So it's definitely growing fast.
Wow, that's amazing. I remember somebody telling me a couple of years ago, the first company that finds a way to make a sheeting system that's just elegant and simple to use for the adjustable bed base is going to make a ton of money. Since you guys make the adjustable bed bases, I assume you're working on that.
Yes, actively.
Okay, and Jason, you as a fiber brand, you're working with a lot of manufacturers who are dealing with all different channels of retail. I mean, are they talking to you specifically about things they're trying to create that addresses these kind of new consumer needs, or really more heightened consumer needs around sleep?
It has to do more with the identification of the cotton and the story behind it. And also, as we work with brands and retailers that are like Authenticity 50 or Malouf that are telling stories, it seems like the linear path that a lot of companies took, which was thread count, high number, put it on the shelf, is a lot different now because they're telling a story around sleep. And Supima as a fiber becomes part of the story that they're selling to the consumer, because there is a myriad of data out there. And now we have people at home that are focusing in on the home and saying, how can I make my experience better here? They're accessing that data and they're starting to get really granular with their choices, right? They're driving down, they're wearing sleep aids. I have a Whoop on. I'm part of the people that do this. You know, I track my sleep. You know, so it comes from everything from the lighting they're using, the blackout curtains, the adjustable bed bases. Could I get a bed? Do I need a topper? Do I need a gel? Do I need all these sort of things? Do I need a chili pad? You know, I think that we become part of that analysis that they put towards saying, well, I need better sheets, right? I mean, I have the bed, I've made the investment here. Now I need to step up and make the investment into the sheets. And what we try to do is just communicate along the lines of what the brand is trying to tell. So if it's a story with Jimmy that he's saying, you know, we make sure that we source and manufacture here domestically because that's a big deal for us, then that's something that we can help lean into. Or with Scott has me out to Malouf to do education sessions with their sales teams and things like that so that they can better tell the story to the consumer when they call. And it's, I think that it would be based around recommendations. It would be like when the consumers call and say, why Supima? There's the answers that, you know, they're comfortable in saying, not necessarily a claims framework, but saying, these are the things that we can say about Supima. That when constructed in a percale or sateen, it is going to be a stronger sheet. It's going to be a softer sheet. But based on your preference, what do you want? Do you want to sleep cool? Do you want to sleep a little warmer? Then we can get into constructions. But I just think it becomes part of that story for the consumer at large. It's saying, I'm upgrading, so I'm going to upgrade my sheets as well. And we want that trademark to carry that notoriety with it, that when they see it, they know that they're getting something quality, you know.
So John, Jason just kind of gave us what I would call an everyman consumer sort of set of questions. The consumer, what do I need? Do I need a tracker? Do I need some medicine? Do I need some sheets or a better mattress? How do you help consumers make these decisions? Because that seems to me they're out there using Dr. Google to give them some advice, they're going to land on the National Sleep Foundation.
Well, the reality is, and this is not a throwaway response, every person's sleep experience is unique. And people are searching out information that is really specific to their need. And I think that this was a great example. You know, there are so many different elements that contribute to someone's sleep experience. And so they'll go and they'll search for whatever is the intervention they think is right for them. Then we actually provide content. So our website, vnsf.org, we've been careful to make sure that the content that we host on our site reflects customer and public insight. And we try to keep tabs on what's important to people. And for some people, it is, in fact, the consumer products. For others, it's specific symptoms that they may be, or experiences that they may be having with their sleep. Some people are just going to have disrupted sleep and they may be able to make a change in their lifestyle or with the products that are in their environment, what's on top of the bed or their bed or the lighting, and they'll see some improvements. Other folks, frankly, may have symptoms that they need to see a doctor, and they may actually have a diagnosable condition. And so we have a range of people that are searching for things that are very specific to their own sleep experience. We try to provide content through different channels to help them when they're looking for something specific. They may come to our website for that information, but one of the things you're going to be seeing from NSF, we can talk about this in a little more detail, but one of the things you're going to be seeing from NSF, and I think the marketers and commercial folks this will resonate with them, we want to be providing content where the customers are. Where are they consuming content? And Jason gave a great example of his own experience of wearing a tracker. And you know, we've partnered to provide sleep health education information through Samsung devices as another example. It's our goal in helping reshape the way people are sleeping or advance sleep health. It's our goal to be where they are consuming this content. And we look to partners to help us with that as well.
Well, I know in the past, and I think still currently, you have partnered with some consumer products.
We
right?
have, and I think I want to recognize Pure Care. Pure Care is our official educational product partner in the bedding space, and this is a great example. One of the themes that's also come up in this conversation is around collaboration. And when we're working with industry partners in a collaborative way, we're frankly, we're working in a way that is something that's bigger than a brand. You know, a lot there, and I think that this is a theme that's come up already on this conversation. It's not just about the product, it's about the company's commitment and investment in helping the consumer with their sleep experience. And certainly one way to do that in our partnerships is helping get the NSF content out. And we've had a very good and strong partnership with Pure Care to help do that.
So do you only have one partnership with one particular product category at a time?
Yeah, our goal is to have a good, solid core partners. We're not intent on having partnerships across a huge array of verticals. We have one in bedding. We have other areas that we are entertaining partnerships with, but we're very selective.
So it's more about
partnership,
communication and spreading the word. Is that
absolutely? That's part of our partners help us spread our mission.
And is that separate from the National Sleep Foundation seal, or is it only the partner that could carry that seal?
Well, the only seal that we are using currently are with our partners in the Education Partner Program. So for example, Pure Care carries our seal for bedding products, because they're the ones who are helping us get our mission work out.
Okay.
In that lane.
All right, thanks for.
And they're a great partner.
All right. We have a question for Jimmy and Scott. So do you see a significant emphasis placed on special performances on sheets by your customers, such as temperature regulation or antimicrobial technology? And if yes, how do you look to incorporate that into your products? And Jimmy, I'm going to let you go first. Lucky you.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of temperature regulation, that's definitely something that that we've put emphasis on, because, you know, there's the classic example of the couple where one person sleeps hot and the other person sleeps cold, and how do they get the right temperature? And for us, you know, the answer for that is, it's really two things. It's percale sheets. You know, the emphasis in the industry is usually on sateen, because it has a very smooth hand feel. It's easier to weave. It's easier to manufacture. It's cheaper to make. But for most people, percale actually helps regulate temperature better because it improves the airflow. And then another thing that we've done is actually this back to basics product, which is a wool comforter. So wool is well known for being very good at temperature regulation. It's actually antimicrobial, resistant to dust mites, doesn't really need to be laundered, will launch a long time. I don't mean this to be a product pitch, but you know, we do see an emphasis on the temperature regulation properties of bedding, and rightly so. You know, a lot of products out there don't do a good job of that.
I'm curious how much explaining do you have to do to the American consumer about wool? Because in other markets around the globe, it's well understood that wool is a cooling product as well as a warming product. In the United States, it's a big lift to get over that wool equals winter. Yeah,
and you know, my hat's off to John, because you're doing God's work out there trying to educate people about sleep, because you know, Scott, I'm sure, and Jason as well, we all face this issue of there's a lot of misinformation out there. And so it's like, how do you educate people as to the realities of the subject, when, you know, one of our most popular social media posts of all time is a picture I took at a gas station where the sign says 1,600 thread count sheets for sale, $29.99. You know, and we put that up on Instagram and it blew up because everybody, of course, knows that there's a little bit of snake oil being put into that product, and it is challenging. You know, it's not easy to educate people when they have some certain preconceived notions, and John, I'm sure has to deal with this on a regular basis, and Scott as well. It's like, how do you let people know that everything that they've heard is probably not necessarily correct?
Yeah, well, if I can just really quickly jump in, Jimmy, again, we're bringing up the concept of collaboration and others helping others with education.
Yep.
And I think that that's important, but certainly credibility is important. There's only one National Sleep Foundation. We've been doing what we do for over 30 years. There are a lot of voices, however, out in this ecosystem. And so, the consumer has a lot of different sources that they can go to. And as I tried to describe before, we have a certain approach and methodology and the way that we put content together and do our work and try to impact change. And this is not just in our industry here. I mean, the National Academy of Medicine itself right now is engaged in a work stream to try to, define what a credible online content organization is, everywhere from government to medical to NGOs. So, the quality and source of information is something that's widespread. It's not just in our industry.
So true, so true. And Scott, that question was directed at you as well, so I'm just going to repeat it again. Do you see a significant emphasis placed on special performance sheets by your customers, such as temperature regulation or antimicrobial technology? And if yes, how do you look to incorporate that into your products?
Yeah, definitely. I would agree with Jimmy's stance. It all comes down to the fiber. There's several, vendors and manufacturers in the industry who use a lot of marketing techniques to talk about different performance aspects. And at Malouf, we don't do that. We just focus on what is the actual fiber. So, there's benefits in Supima fibers. There's obviously the sustainability message there, but then based on individual sleep preferences of sensitive skin or cooling, or if they want to sleep warmer, there's different options. And so, we have a full line of sheets at Malouf that we have to answer these questions. And obviously antimicrobial has been bigger and bigger given the pandemic and more people aware of what their sleep environment looks like. And so, there's product like Tencel that allows an even cooler sleeping environment than a traditional cotton sheet, for example. And so there's a lot of just innate technologies based on the fiber that we really push consumers to understand those things.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and I might add in the best antimicrobial technology that you have is probably your washing machine, and washing those sheets once a week is the best thing you can do there.
When I was in college, I had an apartment my senior year, and my family came to visit, and I remember my stepmother asking me, "You do wash your sheets, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, about once a month." She literally burst into tears. She was clearly she had not taught me very well. I do wash them more frequently now. So something that's come up a few times over the course of this conversation is quality, and certainly both Malouf and Authenticity 50 have a certain quality standard. And Jason, I'm just wondering, you guys do market research, and I'm not asking you to give away any numbers, but to what extent do you think quality sticks in the consumer's mind as being related to better sleep? That if I have a better quality product or with a better quality brand, I'm going to have a better quality experience.
In regards to the sheeting and the products that they're putting into the home,
environment around themselves.
Yeah, I think that depends once they start going down that path, and that's possibly, I wouldn't say it was a shift. I think that customer has always been there, and Authenticity 50 and Malouf would be proof of that, because there's a customer out there that wants to know that the products that they're getting are something that is a quality product, and here's the reasons why. So there's a lot of education that has to be done to your consumer on that. And there's so many ways that you can reach the consumer these days, that does drive confusion, but if they're brand loyal to you, then they'll start hearing your message and start looking into it that way. I think that COVID has also added an extra layer of this to the home purchase, because now they're focusing on it, right? The dollars shifted inside the home. We keep hearing this in webinars. We know that the home textile manufacturers are running pretty hot for the products that they're putting in there, because the dollars have shifted inside the home. So really, it's once they make that choice, they start going into the education route of it, and they start looking down those rabbit holes of, okay, what does this mean? What does that mean? How do I define that? So really, we're the ones that help the brands who are messaging them try to define what they're using as best we can around Supima. Quality is the driver in many, many ways, because you're going to be asking the consumer to pay more for it, right? So how are we going to get that message to the consumer that basically there's a value proposition, and it has to be tied to that trademark and the use of that trademark. So we're still very much adamant about our licensing program and the partners that we license with, and that the messaging that's going out with Supima is one that resonates with the mission of American Pima cotton. And with prices going the way that they are, the consumers are going to be paying more for these products, simply because this is a fiber that could be called rare. There's only so much of it available in the world. We're making it available as much as we can, but when there is something like that and it has these properties, we're here to protect it, and we also want to drive that value message to the consumer. And the reaction is, when they buy the sheets, when they buy Jimmy sheets, when they buy Scott sheets, they see a market difference in something that they picked up, maybe that didn't have a premium cotton fiber in it. So what I'm hearing a lot is that it seems like we're trying to find natural solutions more than we're trying to find something that's a little more. We have technology for the one side of things, but when it comes down to the actual bed, it seems like when you hear about wool now, and you hear about Scott saying we go back to the fiber, that must be resonating, natural sleep aids. So your sheets can be a natural sleep aid, and they should have natural fiber properties in them to help with that, to go along with your natural sleep aids. So it's a really, really interesting topic, because you could just go on forever with it.
Well, I think everybody here is involved in marketing to consumers. I mean, I know before the pandemic, John, National Sleep Foundation had a big event in 2019, right, in Houston. It was called the Sleep Show. It was 2 or 3 days. It was come in and learn everything. Obviously, I'm sure you did not do that in 2020.
No, and I would say, in fact, one of the things that we've learned, I think everyone can say this, one of the things that we've learned during the pandemic is just how much we can get done that doesn't require to be face-to-face. We're human beings. We want to be face-to-face. But we've actually, in business and in our personal lives, been able to connect, accomplish a lot, and stay connected virtually. So we're going to, as I mentioned before, when it comes to our pursuit of mission and delivering content, we're looking at providing content and reaching the public every place they are. And so many of those places, in fact, are digital and remote. So, we talk about our website, the nsf.org, that's just one place. But when we think about what we need to be doing in social, give another example about people who are consuming content through their wearables. There's a lot that we need to be focusing on beyond just the in-face or the in-person type of events and that medium.
Okay. Jimmy, I know you mentioned before that you guys don't go crazy on marketing, but you are very thoughtful, I think, in the way that you speak to the consumer. And part of that is actually sharing with them some behind the curtain looks at how literally your products are being made in factories in the US. What do you think that does for your brand?
Yeah, so people increasingly now more than ever love transparency, right? So the more transparency, the more behind the curtains we can show them. And thankfully for us, it's not that difficult because we can go to our factories in any year, perhaps but last year, and take pictures, shoot videos, talk to the people who are walking the floor, and share those stories with our customer base. You know, they love it because they want to know that they're making an impact in somebody's lives. And with our business, you know, we support over 1,000 people from coast to coast, and everybody can get behind that, right? And you know, for example, one of the anecdotes from walking along one of our textile mills the year before last, you know, a guy walked by. He probably looked like he was 75, and the manager pointed him out. He's like, that guy is 81 years old. He fought in the Korean War. He retired and got his black belt in Taekwondo, and then he was bored and wanted to come back to work. And so now he's back working with us again, and he's basically training all the new guys on, you know, this is 60 years of tacit knowledge in the textile industry that is going the way of the dodo if we don't continue to pass that on. And customers love to hear those types of stories and love the impact that it makes in local communities, you know, across the country.
And thank you for sharing that. That's fascinating. It's Scott, Malouf is also, that's also part of your communications strategy. I mean, you guys have a big social corporate responsibility piece to what you do. Could you share that with folks who don't know about it?
Yeah, definitely. So Malouf became a certified benefit corporation in 2019. If you don't know what that is, that's basically you know, businesses that use their business as a force for good in the world. So companies like Patagonia, Tom's Shoes, Warby Parker, Ben & Jerry's, some of the best, what we would think of CSR, corporate social responsibility companies, are part of that group. And so we went through the rigorous audit process to get certified 2 years ago. And it's essential to what we do. So our work, while we have been talking about textiles and ensuring that we're providing, you know, innovative products that are sustainable for the earth and for consumers, we also have an aspect of social responsibility with the communities that we live in. And I love that story that Jimmy just shared of employees and how we take care of employees. That's big to our founders and what we do here. And then the work that they do through philanthropy. So we have a Malouf Foundation. Our focus is helping to end child sexual exploitation. So we do that through education, healing, and justice. And so those are the initiatives that we are really championing and trying to get as many people in the industry to join with us to be able to make a difference on that.
So how does that work? Because you know, you said you have a small direct consumer business, but primarily you're a wholesaler.
Correct.
So how does that push out into the world?
Yeah, so I mean, a great example of this is the Amazon Smile program. We sell products on Amazon. The Malouf Foundation is one of their certified charity partners where, you know, we can encourage all of our consumers, retailers, employees, friends, and family to, hey, change or set your Amazon account so that way when you order anything on Amazon, you know, they donate 0.25% of that purchase to a charity of your choosing. So that's a great way that we've been able to do that. You know, I just returned from Las Vegas Furniture Market just yesterday, and you know, we normally hold an event there to raise awareness for the Malouf Foundation and rely heavily on our partners to, you know, message this in their stores, talk to their consumers about it, and have a grassroots campaign where each individual store or partner with us can feel some ownership of getting their employees on board and helping their customers also understand the difference that they could make.
I heard that Las Vegas market was actually pretty busy.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see as many people there as who were attending. Definitely thought it would be less. So that was a positive look of hopefully, you know, upcoming markets seem to be something that people are really wanting to get back to.
Okay, cool. John, you know, you've been talking about how communications with consumers is a big thing, and some of the more creative ways that that you're looking as a nonprofit to reach them. I'm kind of wondering if you have, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, that's great. And I also wonder if you have any advice for the sleep products community, that we're engaged with on ways to communicate. Are there themes that maybe they should be leaning into more that that they might not be paying attention to?
Well, I think that there are some sleep products companies that are speaking in more general terms that are consistent with the messages we're trying to get across. For example, using language that reinforces how important sleep is fundamentally to your overall health and well-being. We're intent on making sure people really respect that and internalize that concept and live it so they can thrive. And if that idea comes out through the communications that other sleep product manufacturers are making, we're all heading in the same direction. And fundamentally, our work is public health work at National Sleep Foundation. And the work that we do gets amplified when including industry, when other collaborators are using similar types of language. They're pushing towards similar types of goals. They're transcending, they're bigger than the brand in some ways. And we've heard a lot of that today. We know that we have that with our partner too, in Pure Care, and helping us get our mission work out. There are some practices, whether we're a nonprofit or whether they're commercially oriented groups, listen to the customers, the voice of the customer. And I think they'll tell you what they need. They'll tell you what's important to them. And these are truths that as communicators we use across different industries. So I think to the extent that product manufacturers are listening to the customers and they're promoting the general message around sleep health and wellness, we're heading in a similar direction.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because collectively, everyone here is touching various points in the circle of product development and consumer marketing. National Sleep Foundation is speaking directly to consumers. Authenticity 50 is selling directly to consumers. Malouf is working with the retail group, and Supima is working with the product developers, right? So we got kind of a 360 panel here. And when you're talking about listening to consumers or your constituency, I'd just kind of like to poll each of you on what are you hearing the most of today? I mean, Jason, you want to talk about the product developers that you work with?
If we're talking about immediately, what's the question that we're getting, and I'm spending a lot of time on the phone about, is pricing.
It's pricing.
Yeah, it's cotton pricing right now, both for Supima and for Upland cottons, because there has been a shift upwards, a trend upwards, and we know that when there is a trend upwards, there's going to be a lot of communication and people asking for foresight and forecasting as to where it is all going. What I can say for Supima is that we're probably at this point double what we were last year. And that price last year was vastly and well below the price of production for our farmers. So that's the communication that we're trying to get forward, that the cost of the cotton was well below the cost of production, and there was a lot of farmers that had to make some tough decisions last year. So it was a tough year.
So they decided I'm switching to some other crop next time around, and so now there's a little less Supima available.
Yeah, we also have drought situations in the West. So when you head into a drought year, there's always going to be less. So that being said, that these are all trending towards a higher price. The price, however, is also reflective of where it should be, in our opinion, to provide value back to the farmers. And that's our main message now: authenticity, and also making sure that there's a value proposition back to the actual farm industry that grows the fiber that the customers want to be using in their products or seeing in their products. So you know, all these sort of things should sort of level off as we head into the next year. But right now, the conversation is around pricing and also around supply. So, you know, buy your cotton and buy it early if you can.
Don't wait. All right. Scott, you're dealing primarily with the retail community. What's chief topic there right now?
Yeah, the biggest for most retailers is the e-commerce discussion. So with COVID shutdowns, people not wanting to get out of their house, different mask mandates, whatever it might be, just less foot traffic in stores. And so what can retailers do to be able to ensure that they're still talking to their audiences, that their customers can still interact with them and get the products that they need, especially with the diversion of spending right now with, you know, travel isn't necessarily a thing, and people aren't eating out right now as much as they once were. And so freeing up some of the disposable income to be used on home furnishings in particular. And so that's been something that a lot of our retail partners have been reaching out to us for help and expertise on, is, you know, website setup. How do we do this? How do we do social media ads, different things like that? And luckily we have a pretty talented team here that's able to help assist with some of those things and continue to help businesses stay profitable and continue to push forward through these hard times.
Okay. And Jimmy, you're engaged directly with consumers who are looking at better bedding with a positive backstory. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, it's really customers asking us to just continue to tell the story about the products and how they're made, and more sort of expose on our manufacturing background, which of course we're happy to do. We love to do it. It's just a bit challenging at the moment with travel, of course. But that's really what we've been doubling down on, and that's what people really react to.
Okay.
Mhm.
And
I might be hearing different questions altogether.
yes, okay.
Stuff, but it's generally, how can I sleep better? How much sleep do I need? You know, those are the types of evergreen questions that the public is asking, and it could be knowing more about certain behavioral practices or lifestyle. It could be their sleep environment, what's happening in the home, what's happening in the bedroom. Subject of, you know, this talk today. It could be through policy work that we need to do, ranging from standard time, you know, daylight savings time, to school start times, to sleep health disparities. So our focus is pretty broad.
Wow.
I will jump in here just for a second. I live in Arizona, just outside Phoenix and Tempe, and I moved here from Canada, of all places. But this is the first time experiencing no daylight savings. I love it. I absolutely.
Arizona doesn't have daylight.
We don't change.
With no clock change.
We don't change.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's been awesome. I didn't, you know, sometimes you got to figure out who's on what time at what time of year, but for here, it just doesn't change, and it's been great.
Huh. Okay.
So sleep wellness, sleep health, and then there's still the other side of the coin, which is those folks who might have other sleep problems and need to seek clinical help.
All right. Well, I think we've covered the waterfront with this panel. Thank you all for sharing your perspective and your stories about what's going on in your businesses. I really, really appreciate it. For those of you watching, thank you so much. This is going to be recorded, and the recording will be on our website if you want to take another look at it or share it with your colleagues. We will see you again next month for another session. Be well, and thank you again, panel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Don.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for hosting. Nice meeting you all.
Thank you.
Likewise.